Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're back again, and after our sword drawn yesterday, we're back to Ether Drift today. And we're going for the 17th shark that's been added to MTG in Captain Howler Sea Scourge. 2 blue and red for a 5/4 shark pirate. Okay, those stats are good to start with. Ward 2 and pay 2 life. Yeah, okay, so that's fairly well protected in all sorts of formats, I feel. 2 mana and 2 life is quite a lot to target to remove it. But anyway, whenever you discard 1 or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until the end of turn for each card discarded this way. And whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you may draw a card. Right. So blue-red that likes having cards discarded. Yeah, we can make that work. That's yeah, definitely can make this work. So here we go. Here's what today's deck really is all about. Before I go into the deck, though, I have to point out, on Magic Online price, $56, you know, if you pay all the tickets. Tabletop price, $7,107. There's a few cards in here that you probably don't want to play if you're playing this on the tabletop. And I'll point them out as I go along. But if you know your artwork, you can tell 2 of the cards I'm going to be playing with this with on MTGO. And that's why it's so expensive in real life. But anyway, yeah, so we need creatures targets. We've got 29 creatures to start with. And we do like things that have a benefit if it's discarding. So Bomat Carrier is the first one in, because we can hopefully get some cards under it early, then pay the red, discard it, get discard what we've got in our hand, get all the cards we've got exiled into our hand, and then pump up one of our creatures using the captain's ability. Flameblade Adept is in. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, it gets +1/+0 to the end turn as menace, so a little bit complicated to block and can get quite big. Charmed Scoundrel does the whole discard and draw, but also gives us a treasure or wicked roll token if we need them when we play it. Ravenous Bloodseeker likes having cards discarded to it, so you know, +2/+2, well, +2/-1 for this. With Captain in play, that makes it +4/-2, so you end up with a 5/1 attacker. Not the worst thing in the world to happen. Ether Channeler is just here because we want to draw some cards, and it just gives another way of doing that. And it also gives us another bird if we need to, if we prefer that route, so then we can use that to attack within the air once we're discarding with the captain. Briggy, God of Storytellers, also in. It gives a bit of mana. We're not worried about the boast ability, but the Harnvel Horn of Bounty is quite nice because we can discard a card to it, which gives us another discard outlet for the captain. So that's why they're here. Champion Wits, I like this. Draw 2, discard 2 when it comes into play, and then if you eternalize it, draw 4, discard 2. So you're getting ahead. Cura, the Rising Tide from Foundations, draw 2, discard 2. Very nice with the Captain Howler. Obviously, the Threshold ability really does help as well to get the 8/8. Sinian of the Deep token if it happens. Magus of the Wheel, we all know what this does. Everyone discards their hands, then draw 7. Quite nice if you've got a fairly big hand to pump up with the Captain. Riley, the Otherwise, is also in. +1/+1 for +1/+0 for each instant sorcery card in our graveyard, and whenever we discard 1 or more cards for the first time each turn, draw that many cards. So helps us if we do some of the fancy stuff, you know. Wheel of the Magus of the Wheel, I'm looking at you. Braylin, Sky Shark Rider, is also in. Obviously, the Sky Shark can't be here, which is one of the other 17 I mentioned earlier, because it's blue and white. But Braylin can be here, because whenever we discard a card, we get to put a +1/+1 on them, and then deal 1 damage to each opponent. Nice little solid resource to have. Then, if we really need to attack with the captain, target shark gains trample until the end of turn. The captain is a shark. You can pump all of your +2/+2s onto the captain, and with this in play, paying a red, it becomes a 5/4, well, a X4 with Ward 2, pay 2 life, and trample, which, yeah, I think is quite good. Hazaret the Furtherance here, because if we've got to have 1 or fewer cards on hand, because all the discarding we do, we can attack with them, and likewise, we can also pay 3 and discard a card to discard to trigger captain. Rowdy Crew, because I just like playing Rowdy Crew, but it also has the ability of drawing 3, discard 2 at random, and then hopefully we share the cards we discard share the same type, so it becomes a 5/5, which would be quite nice. Bonehorde Dracosaur, because I'm playing red and it's going to be here, sorry. Magus of the Jar, Again, each player removes his or her hand from the game face down, draws 7 cards, and at the end of the turn, each player discards his or her hand and returns the cards that way. Doesn't trigger to get captain going on, but it's another way of just going through your deck if we need to. You can drop it if you don't want to play it. I can understand why, but I quite like the Magus of the Jar, hence why it's here. Overlord of the Flood Blitz, just to do the whole when it enters or attacks, draw 2, discard a card. Ox of Agostus is also in. Enters the battlefield, discard our hand, draw 3. That's nice with the captain in play. Riona, the Fire Dancer. Hopefully we'll get some token copies of creatures, and because we've been casting instants and sorcery, so, you know, get some copies on the go. Always fun. More targets for our captain. And Twin Flame Tyrant had to come in from Foundations. I'm starting to enjoy this card quite a lot. If source you control deal damage to an opponent or permanent, it deals double it instead. Sounds good to me. Ancient Copper Dragon gives us the treasures we need to cast stuff. I've also got Kappa Cannon here. We have a few ways of making artifacts, and having this unblockable isn't the end of the world, so it's in. Oramus, the Archive Keeper. This comes in as well. If you draw a card while your library has no cards, then you get to put 5+1/+1s on Oramus. That's not what it's here. It's here for the 2 blue and 1, discard 3 cards with different names and draw 5 cards. You should be able to do that a lot of the time. That gives you sort of a +6/+0 to something if you need it when it goes off, hopefully. Overlord of the Boiler Barges for a little bit of targeted removal. The Locust God, because whenever you draw a card, you can create a 1/1 blue Synsect token. Another way of giving you a discard outlet, so we'll go with that. Trumpeting Kinosaur, because we have to discard it to deal 3 damage to a creature or player, but if we get to cast it, the Discover 5 is going to help. Dragon Mage is just the repeatable Wheel of Fortune. Ancient Silver Dragon just lets us draw loads of cards and have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game, which helps. Bedlam Raveler has the prowess, discard our hand when it comes into play, draw 3 cards, so it's in. And finally, so we've got a bit more going on. I think we should be casting 2 spells each turn if we can eventually. So having some 4/4 Dragon Elemental creature tokens for flying and prowess from Iris will probably be beneficial to us at some stage. A few Planeswalkers in the deck. We've got the Greatest Thief in the Multiverse decks here to nick people's soul rings, talismans, whatever else we need. But then we can use it to draw 2, discard 2 to trigger the captain. Zariel, Archduke of Avarice, is here purely for the +1 to give the +1/+0 and haste until the end of turn, though the Devils can be useful sometimes. Chandra, the Wakened Inferno, another way just a backup really for the +2 for the emblem it hands out. And then Jace, the Arcane Strategist, one from one of the command Planeswalker decks they did back in the day for these. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, +1 to draw a card, and then the -7 can be gotten to and be quite useful. Creatures you control can't be blocked this turn. Yeah, that sounded quite good. Let's have a bit of an alpha strike going on. Spells, as you can imagine, there's a lot. Well, 17. It's quite a few for me for one of my decks. Starting with Wheel of Fate, do the Hold Suspend trick and then hold to get ready to do the discarding when the captain's in play. Faithless Looting's a no-brainer for the draw 2, discard 2. Cyclonic Rift to basically reset the board when we get to 7 mana, which we should be able to do quite happily. Days Undoing, just in case everything goes pear-shaped, we can shuffle everything back in again and go from that point of view. Force of Rage. I put this in if it's not your turn, you may exile a red card. You need some blockers for this deck. Occasionally you'll play this in your main phase and get your 2/3/1s red elementals with trample and haste and hopefully get some extra power on them because you've got the captain in play. But sometimes you just need blockers to survive. Exiling a red card and playing this to get 2/3/1s to block with in an opponent's turn isn't the worst plan either. Rush of Inspiration is here as another land, but it's also for the whole draw 2, then discard a card at random. We won't have any energy, so it's basically draw 2, discard 1 at instant speed, or a land if we need it. Thirst for Knowledge, yep, we'll be discarding 2, so we're not really going to discard our artifacts. The costly cards now appear, so Time Twister's here for obvious reasons, along with Wheel of Fortune for obvious reasons. We've got the cheaper version with Windfall in here as well. That really does help with, you know, all 3 of them. Well, not so much Time Twister, but the Wheel of Fortune and Windfall really do help with Captain Howler in play. Time Twister is really just a reset button if we need it, by the way. Chain Reaction for board control. Change of Ill Fortune is also in. Discard your hand and draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. In my mind, could be useful. Ill-Timed Explosion, a little bit of fun. Draw 2 cards and you may discard 2 cards. When you do, ill-timed explosion deals X damage to each creature where X is the greatest mana value among cards discarded this way. It's always worth, with the captain in play, it's always worth discarding a land and maybe something that costs 3 mana just to reset the board a little bit. If you have to go higher than that, you do lose your captain, so bear that in mind. Pirate's Pillage, discard a card. You can replace this with any of the other ones if you want to. I went with the sorcery version. You can do the instant version if you want to. Discard a card, draw 2, get a couple of treasures. We all know the variations. Take your pick as you want to. Reforge the Soul is just a miracle version of the Wheel of Fortune, so it's here. Inspiring Refrain, just so we have some backup card draw in case we need it. Just suspend this as soon as you can, then just let it tick off every so often. And Blasphemous Act for a bit more board control. Artifacts wise, mainly ramp. I'll be not sorry about this. So Tantalite Talisman, the Elixirs here as always. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Mind Stone, the Medallion of Ruby, the Medallion of Sapphire, the Talisman of Creativity, the Thought Vessel, and then finally Hazaret's Monument. Red creature spells you cast cost 1 less, and whenever you cast a creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Auto triggering Captain Howler every so often. Enchantments, just the 3, not too many. Artist Talent, because I quite like whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Non-creature spells cost 1 less, and then non-combat damage is probably relevant at level 3, but the level 2 one is probably worth getting to if we can. The Search for Azcanta, just so we can filter through our deck. And then Monastery Siege, at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card, then discard a card. We're going to be putting this in for the Khan's abilities. Occasionally, the dragons may be useful because spells your opponents cast that target you or permanent you control cost 2 more to cast. So it can be useful if you're playing someone who's playing maybe heavy bounce or heavy targeted removal. You could go with the dragon side of it. But 9 times out of 10, it's Khans you want to be doing. Lands, nothing particularly fancy. Red and blue lands all the way through. We have got Reliquary Tower here. We have got Temple of the False God here. We have got lots of jewels. Crucible of Defiance. Nothing really worth anything specific pointing out today. I did an art about playing Field of the Dead, but I avoided it because I figured, yeah, you could play it. You've got enough different lands in here that it would trigger it eventually and give you some more creatures. So if you want to drop a mountain for the Field of the Dead, feel free. But I've avoided it for today. And that's it. That's my take on Captain Howler to finish the week's decks off. Yeah. I've been quite impressed with it so far. I'm still thinking about some of the other cards. Like I said earlier in the week, there will be an update coming to PNLR probably towards the end of next week. I might do it for next Friday. I've run out of time to do anything for this Friday, so I'm sorry about that. So hope you've enjoyed the 4 videos this week. 3 from Ether Drift, 1 at a request. If you haven't subscribed before, love it if you could. Please hit the subscribe button down below. If you want to see me play, well, I can play the deck that came out yesterday on stream. That'll be tonight, Thursday, when this is released in the UK. So if you want to come and see me play that, there's a link down below to Twitch as well. Come and give me a follow over there. But for now, thanks for watching. If there's anything I've missed out, let me know in the comments down below. And if there's a specific Ether Drift card you'd like me to do next week, please just leave me a comment down below and I'll try and make sure that gets into one of the 4 slots next week. But for now, take care, have fun. I'll see you soon. Bye.